Tom, let's talk about NBA free agents here because there's still some good ones left. So I want to go through some of the top remaining unrestricted free agents and then hit on some of the restricted free agents and play like player team. What's our best fit? What's the best fit for these guys? So with Bradley Beal, he's not quite bought out yet officially. We assume that he will get bought out. The teams out there for him, it sounds like the Lakers, the Clippers, the Timberwolves are the main teams that are likely for Bradley Beal. Do you have a favorite fit for Bradley Beal?
Man, I love Milwaukee for him. Like, you talk about the opportunity in that backcourt. Like, that's for me the A leader in the clubhouse. 1A is Milwaukee. You look at Giannis and the fact that he is still not asked for a trade out of Milwaukee. You look at Miles Turner. They have pieces there, but no backcourt, no reliable backcourt. And so if you're Brad Beal looking to rejuvenate your stock around the league, it's not going to be a place where I think he's going to have to come off the bench and assert himself again like he did in Phoenix. Like in Milwaukee, he has a clear road to getting 20 points a game. And that to me for Milwaukee, and they don't have the kind of money that some other teams might have in terms of the full mid-level exception or the taxpayer mid-level exception. I think Bradley Beal has to look at this situation and say, what gives me the best opportunity to prove that I still have it, that I am still worth a multi-year contract going forward for not just the minimum, but for tens of millions of dollars. And I think he can still be that player. But when you look around the league, there's not many spots that have like a clear void in the backcourt, quite like Milwaukee in terms of Giannis and Miles Turner. I just feel like the Milwaukee Bucks give him the best opportunity. He's going to get his money either way. So that's why I feel like Milwaukee might be actually in the driver's seat here, because he's going to have a great opportunity in the Eastern Conference to rehabilitate that stock around the league.
You know, it's interesting with the Bucks because they've also been connected to Chris Paul. I would hate the Chris Paul fit with the Bucks because I think what they're building right now, it feels like on paper to me is a faster pace, up and down team. And Chris Paul just slows you down. Bradley Beal is the opposite of that to me. He's an ideal fit with this new type of situation they're trying to build because Beal can play fast. He can play without the ball. He can run through handoffs and screens. He still is like a 40% guy from three. I mean, like, he missed a lot of games with the Suns and he was underwhelming in a lot of ways, but he can still shoot the hell out of it. He can still hit pull-up mid-range jumpers. He can still be a secondary facilitator. And putting that guy behind Giannis Antetokounmpo, to me, is the best of both worlds because he gets opportunity to be a guy on ball and be a guy off ball. And he's going to get a ton of minutes on that team. There's no overlap in a backcourt. With the Clippers, I think they'd be second on my list. But I think the Clippers, like, it's going to be very Harden-driven and Kawhi. Whereas with the Bucks, I think it's going to be Giannis and then you for like the primary creator. And so you get a little bit of both with the Bucks. Now, with Beal, as long as I've known about Bradley Beal, when it came to like situations where he would go after the Wizards and all that, it never seemed like he'd ever want to go to a cold weather place. Yeah, and that's where like I wonder. I know the Steinline reported Minnesota was a team on that list as well. I'm not so sure he'd end up choosing the Bucks. I would guess he'd choose Lakers or Clippers, one of the two California teams interested in him. But I'm with you, Tom. I'm hoping Bradley Beal chooses the Bucks, and also I just think it would be cool to see that team get bolstered around Giannis when we went from going like, is Giannis going to be in a trade to getting Miles Turner and then maybe getting Bradley Beal. I think suddenly the Bucks could end up, in that contender status. It wouldn't shock me at all.
He needs to get rid of the NTC label, the no trade clause label. And the Milwaukee Bucks give him the opportunity to completely rebrand. Like this idea that he's just going to go to the Lakers or the Clippers and get rid of the notion that he is just like this
Nothing changes. No rebranding there.
No, you have to rebrand. And I think that's what you have to look at it for Bradley Beal, is that this upcoming year is all about rebranding your use in the NBA. And there's just not a lot of oxygen there in LA, either with the Clippers or the Lakers. But man, you got all the opportunity and the lane is cleared out for you in Milwaukee. And of course, you know, they've Milwaukee. Wouldn't that be interesting if Milwaukee was like, yo, we're gonna have dead cap of $22 million on Damian Lillard. But if we can get Bradley Beal on a vet minimum deal or something close to that, you're getting Bradley Beal at about $30 million, essentially, right? And that makes a lot more palatable to get off the Damian Lillard money if you're able to bring in Brad Beal. Now, if they don't get Brad Beal, that's just horrible bookkeeping right there. But you can see why if John Horst and Giannis Antetokounmpo have visions of bringing in a vet guy like Bradley Beal, even though they're going to have $22 million on the cap, that's not bad. And that's a nice pivot for them if they can land it and prove to Brad Beal, like, if you want a long-term contract at the end of this season, we give you the best opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I just think suddenly they'd feel fun. They'd Kevin Porter, Kuzma, Trent, and Rollins, they get him back. They get Bobby Portis, Turner now. Just a lot of guys that can play in different spaces on the floor. All right, Chris Paul. Chris Paul, I mentioned that I don't like the fit for him in Milwaukee. I would sour on the Bucks, to be honest with you, if he ended up going there. Look, honestly, I think retirement would be the best thing for Chris Paul at this point of his career. I said that before. He said in an interview recently he's got likely just 1 year left. Now, I think where Beal goes will impact what happens with Paul and Brogdon and Westbrook and maybe even Damian Lillard for that matter. But with Chris Paul, do you have a favorite fit for him, Tom?
Hey, who's the backup point guard in LA right now? The Clippers. Who's the backup point guard? Do they have one?
I think it's 48 minutes of James Harden, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Bring him home.
You want Chris Paul backing up James Harden?
Bring him home.
I don't know.
Bring one last shot at winning a title. I'm not saying
carrying him with Harden again at 40 years old at this point.
I think bringing him back to Clippers and having his kind of farewell tour with the Clippers and all those good vibes. I feel like this is where we're headed. Whether it's Bradley Beal or Chris Paul. I think Bradley Beal, if he ends up in the Clippers, I don't think Chris Paul goes there. But in terms of opportunity, he said a lot over the years how much he's missed being around his family. And the last couple of years has been really tough. And the same way for Damian Lillard is he's been on the road a lot. But if he goes back home to LA, I don't think it's going to be with the Lakers because I think it's Luka's team right now. But I could see a situation where Chris Paul goes back to the Clippers one last time as his farewell tour.
Talk about bad fits. Luka and Chris Paul. How soon until they're ripping each other's heads off?
Yeah, and that's the thing with LeBron. Like you would see LeBron and him banana boat just in LA. Finally, we get to play together. But no, this is Bill Duffy and Luka Doncic's team going forward. And I do not think that Chris Paul, as much of a hands-on manager that you have in NBA history next to Luka Doncic, I don't think that's a good fit. But in LA, where I think he would understand his place on the hierarchy in LA with James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, I could see that being a solid fit. And it's the same way with the Golden State Warriors a couple years ago, where it was clear he is not the alpha on the team. And so I think the Clippers makes the most sense, but a lot of this is the same thing. What allows him to be closer to his family in LA? And if he wants to play one more year, you could see that is like a little fairy tale ending for him.
That's fair. That's fair. That's the best fit. It makes sense. The fairy tale aspect would be nice. Chris Paul at this point. Minnesota, I thought about as well as the best fit for him, but then you're taking away opportunities from Rob Dillingham entering year 2 potentially as a backup point. You're also taking touches away from a guy like Terrence Shannon for that matter. Shannon is going to fill minutes by Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but like he can handle the ball a bit too. I don't want to add Chris Paul to that mix there in Minnesota. So the Clippers make the most sense. Westbrook's a free agent as well still. We'll see. Again, some of these guys, Malcolm Brogdon, Russell Westbrook, where they choose is going to be dependent on, I think, where the top choices go. Those top choices being still Chris Paul and Bradley Beal once Beal is officially bought out. Damian Lillard as well. Dame has been connected to a whole bunch of teams, Boston included. And Boston stands out to me because that's like the least obvious one. Going to the Celtics, where Tatum's also out for the year with a torn Achilles. Peyton Pritchard going to be their starter in all likelihood. They have young players that they want to invest in. How are you thinking about this if you're Dame? What's your approach with your next destination? Are you looking for the team that gives you the best choice to win a title, the team that gives you the best choice to go back to being Damian Lillard. How do you think he should be approaching his choice here, Tom?
Yeah, wouldn't it be kind of crazy if Jason Tatum and Damian Lillard just rehabbed together? Like that is a story that you would a very unfortunate story in league history that we've never really quite seen before. Is two guys suffering catastrophic career altering injuries that get to rehab together on a timeline that the Boston Celtics I feel like would be open to them just take it easy. Like do it on your own terms and don't have to accelerate to try to win a championship this year because this is going to be a gap year for the Celtics. Or I could see Damian Lillard just taking a few months off and then signing with a team once it becomes clear, like mid-season, clear where he wants to be, where his family is happiest. Take care of that, all that stuff on his rehab, and then pick a team based on where like the playoff contention is in like say at the February trade deadline and kind of see where the NBA landscape shakes out. To me, Damian Lillard took a lot of heat for, when he was in the Milwaukee trade situation and figuring out like how can he get to Miami, like Miami. But now with this Achilles tear, I do think that he is probably going to just reset and figure out what do I want out of the rest of my career and then go forward with a plan of attack in the next few months.
I mean, the truth is, the Heat, earlier I said how, well, what are they going to do? What's their direction? Who's their primary playmaker here? They got Hero, they got Yakachonis, now they have Norm Powell. The truth is, Damian Lillard, post torn Achilles, rehabbing, with Miami, going back there and then less of a stress on you to be the creator. That fits interesting for him. The Lakers, semi-interesting because Luka can carry everything there. You can be the secondary guy behind him on a team that could potentially compete for championships depending on what else they do. He's been connected to the Warriors. I'd hate the fit playing behind Stephen Curry. And for him, it's like the way Steve Kerr uses Steph in actions, after you suffer such a catastrophic injury, let's get that load off of you. Like let's relax a little bit more after that. So I lean towards, I think, Miami or the Lakers as the teams that are most interesting me. The Celtics, I'm intrigued, but I don't see it as much as Miami or as I do with the Lakers. Now the Celtics have another free agent, Tom,